this week, and you can find my other content, I'll be putting out a video on this as well this week on the Shema. So we're going to be looking at various writings from Moses to try and get a good grasp on how he understood it to be that the Lord is one, as he's the one who gives us a statement, so he's the one we need to be looking at to determine what it means, right? At least in theory. The video coming out this week will be looking at his writings and others, and how it's been understood and approached, including a good exegesis of John 17. But for Moses, he clearly understands God as being not one in persons, is the language we use today, but that there's more than one subject properly part of the Godhead. How do we know this? We can start with places like Genesis 1:26. And some people will try and say the us there is angels or the divine council. The issue with that is if you follow it to its logical conclusion, the Old Testament's clear. God is due worship in part, if not the primary reason, because he is the creator. All other things are created, and being creator gives him the right to worship. So if we say the divine council or angels or any other beings are involved in creation that aren't the one true God, then now we have to, if we're being consistent, to say that those beings are due worship because they are creator. We see this in Nehemiah, we see this from Moses himself, we see this in the Psalms. This is the logical conclusion of where that belief ends, which is why people didn't take this view. And that's not the historic Christian view. And we also can do away with the objection of the royal we that people often try to bring up here, because in the Hebrew there is no forming of plural majesty with the verbs. And I have a little bit longer of an explanation of this in my presentation with Javier Perdomo, Is the Old Testament Unitarian? Towards the end of it, after I go through the first part of the presentation and then get to scriptural discussion and exegesis, I go through that a bit more in depth if you're interested in that. So it can't be anyone but the one true God involved in creation, because then we have to be polytheist and or grant worship to other beings that are not God, if we're being consistent. And the royal we objection, which is the most common one I hear, falls flat in the face of